The vast emptiness of space was quiet. In the silence, a fleet of alien warships traveled, their engines humming with a deep mechanical pulse that vibrated through the coldness of space. These ships, massive and powerful, were led by the Galactic Alliance, an empire that had conquered dozens of worlds across the stars. They had seen and destroyed countless civilizations. Their fleets were invincible, their technology advanced far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed. Their mission was simple: Earth. The humans, in their eyes, were nothing more than an insignificant primitive species, a young planet, barely out of the Stone Age, struggling to survive in the vast cosmos. The Galactic Alliance had encountered humans only a few times before, and each time they had dismissed them as no threat. But this time was different. The humans had become a nuisance, refusing to bow to their superior technology. The Alliance had decided it was time to eliminate the problem once and for all. Their fleet moved in silence, a massive force heading towards Earth, the blue planet shining brightly in the distance. On board the lead ship, the alien commanders were confident. They had destroyed empires far greater than Earth's, and they believed that nothing could stop them now. Back on Earth, however, life was peaceful. The citizens of Earth went about their daily routines, completely unaware of the massive threat heading their way. Governments around the world were busy with their own matters, and space exploration had not yet reached the point of dealing with any real extraterrestrial dangers. Humans had no idea that the fate of their entire species was about to be changed forever. The Galactic Alliance's forces continued their journey, never expecting what was coming. As they neared Earth's orbit, one of the smaller alien scout ships, sent ahead to gather information, was on a routine sweep. The ship was unarmed and seemed to be harmless. However, just as it was about to report its findings back to the fleet, something strange happened. A sudden burst of energy exploded from Earth's atmosphere, hitting the scout ship with pinpoint accuracy. The ship disintegrated in an instant. The blast came out of nowhere, and the alien commanders on the lead ship were stunned. Their screens flickered with static as their sensors failed to detect where the blast had come from. A series of alarms went off across the fleet. No one knew what had just happened. A few of the higher-ranking officers tried to dismiss it as a malfunction, but the fear was palpable. "Who fired that shot?" one of the commanders barked. "Get me a full report now." The crew scrambled, trying to understand what had just occurred. The scout ship's destruction didn't make sense. Earth's technology was nowhere near advanced enough to produce such a powerful weapon, let alone aim it so accurately. The blast had been swift, precise, and unlike anything they had encountered before. But after several minutes of analyzing the data, the alien leaders were quick to dismiss it. It had to have been some sort of accident or malfunction, they reasoned. The humans couldn't possibly have developed such advanced technology without them knowing. After all, they had been watching Earth for years. The Galactic Alliance had made sure to monitor human progress, and so far, there had been nothing to suggest they were a threat. "Well, that was certainly strange," said one of the higher-ranking officers, brushing off the event. "But there's no reason to be concerned. Proceed with the mission. Earth is still nothing more than a tiny speck in the vastness of the universe." And so, they pressed forward. The fleet moved closer to Earth, their enormous warships cutting through space with purpose. Their leaders believed they were in control, that nothing could stop them from conquering the planet. They were unaware that Earth had been preparing for this day for a long time. The human governments had long suspected that Earth was not alone in the universe. They had received strange signals, detected mysterious spacecraft in the skies, and had found evidence of alien technology hidden in the depths of the ocean. But they never expected an attack. They had thought their time to explore and conquer space was still far in the future. However, in secret, Earth's most brilliant minds had been working tirelessly, developing weapons and technology beyond the average human's comprehension. They knew that one day the aliens would come. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And when that time came, humanity would be ready. The alien commanders gave orders to increase speed and prepare for orbital bombardment. They knew the humans had nothing that could stand up to their firepower. They would land, wipe out the planet's defenses, and take control. This was going to be an easy victory. But as the fleet closed in on Earth, they failed to notice the small, almost invisible figures moving in the shadows. Hidden from view by advanced cloaking technology, a fleet of human ships was waiting. They had been lying in wait for this very moment. The humans had studied the alien fleet's every move, learned their weaknesses, and designed their weapons specifically to counteract the aliens' technology. The first sign that the aliens were in danger came not from a military vessel, but from Earth's defense network. As the alien ships entered Earth's orbit, they were suddenly bombarded with a barrage of energy blasts, cutting through the vast emptiness of space like invisible missiles. The alien commanders had no idea where the blasts were coming from, but the damage was immediate and devastating. Several of their ships were hit, their shields flickering and failing. Panic spread through the alien ranks. "What is happening?" one of the commanders shouted. "Who is attacking us?" It wasn't until that moment that the aliens realized they had underestimated Earth. They thought they had the upper hand, but now they were beginning to understand the truth. Humanity was not the weak, helpless species they had believed. Something was waiting, something deadly, something they never expected. Earth had prepared for this moment, and the aliens had no idea that the humans had more surprises in store. As the alien leaders scrambled to regain control, they still didn't fully understand what was happening. They had dismissed the first attack as a fluke, but now it was clear. Earth was no longer the peaceful, defenseless planet they had once thought. Something much more dangerous lurked beneath the surface, and the aliens would soon find out that fighting humans, especially humans who had nothing to lose, was the worst mistake they could ever make. The calm before the storm was over. The battle for Earth had just begun. The alien fleet had finally arrived in Earth's orbit, their massive warships looming above the planet, casting long shadows across the surface. The commanders, still underestimating humanity's capabilities, prepared for what they believed would be a quick and decisive conquest. They fired their weapons, unleashing destructive energy blasts toward Earth's surface, while their troops readied for landing. They thought they had won before the battle even began. But they were wrong. As the fleet continued its approach, something unexpected happened. Without warning, an invisible force slammed into their ships. It wasn't a physical blast or an incoming missile. It was something much more elusive. At first, the alien commanders couldn't understand what was happening. Their systems flickered, their ships began to lose power, and their advanced weapons failed to lock onto targets. Panic rippled through their ranks. Something wasn't right. The alien fleet tried to recalibrate their targeting systems, but their efforts were futile. Just as they were about to engage in what they thought would be an easy fight, the human fleet, hidden by cloaking technology, revealed itself in full force. From the shadows of space, sleek human warships materialized, their designs far more advanced than anything the aliens had seen before. These ships, though smaller in size compared to the massive alien warships, were packed with cutting-edge technology that Earth's enemies had never expected. The cloaking devices that had kept the human fleet hidden for so long had been designed to hide their ships from even the most sophisticated scanners. The moment the human fleet revealed itself, the aliens were caught off guard, unable to comprehend the sudden appearance of a force they had never detected. The human ships wasted no time. They activated their advanced AI-driven countermeasures, instantly disabling the alien targeting systems. The aliens fired back, but their shots went wide, missing their targets by miles. The human fleet's AI had anticipated the move, predicting the aliens' every action before they made it. As the alien ships struggled to regain control of their systems, the humans launched a devastating counterattack. The humans' weapons were far superior to what the aliens had expected. The advanced laser cannons, enhanced with AI-assisted targeting systems, fired in quick succession, striking the alien warships with deadly precision. One by one, alien ships were torn apart, their shields cracking and hulls exploding as the humans' attacks found their marks. The alien commanders were stunned. They had thought Earth's technology was primitive, but what they were seeing was beyond their worst nightmares. They had underestimated the humans, assuming they would be no match for the might of the Galactic Alliance. But now, it was clear they were wrong. The human fleet, though small, was more than capable of defending their home. The aliens attempted to regroup, trying to focus their fire on the cloaked human ships. But the humans were ready for this. They unleashed a series of EMP pulses, disrupting the alien fleet's electronic systems. The alien ships found themselves blinded, unable to target the human vessels or communicate with each other. Their advanced weapons, once their greatest strength, were now useless. As the alien fleet staggered, their commanders scrambled to regain control. They attempted to counter the EMP pulses, but the humans had already moved on to their next strategy. The human ships, guided by advanced AI, used their speed and agility to outmaneuver the alien warships. The humans' countermeasures were so advanced that the aliens were unable to keep up, and their ships began to fall, one after another. In the midst of the chaos, a young human commander, Captain Carter, led his fleet with unparalleled skill. He had trained for years for this moment, understanding the stakes of the battle better than anyone. He knew that the survival of humanity depended on every decision he made. His voice crackled through the comms as he gave orders to his fleet. "Focus fire on the alien flagship. We take that down, and the rest will fall." The human fleet concentrated all their firepower on the largest of the alien ships, a behemoth that had once been considered invincible. The AI-directed laser beams and EMP pulses struck with pinpoint accuracy, cracking through the ship's shield and tearing into its hull. The flagship's massive engines exploded, sending debris flying in all directions. The aliens were in disarray. Their once imposing fleet was now a burning wreckage in space, and they had no idea how to fight back. The once proud commanders of the Galactic Alliance, who had looked down on Earth and its inhabitants, now realized the terrible mistake they had made. They had believed they were invincible, but the humans had turned the tide of battle with their superior technology and relentless determination. The shock of the alien commanders was palpable. How could this be happening? They had come to Earth with the full belief that they would crush the humans within moments. Instead, they were being outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and destroyed by a species they had thought of as primitive. As the battle raged on, the human fleet continued to dismantle the alien ships, using their advanced weapons and strategies to methodically destroy the invaders. The once unstoppable alien force was now on the defensive, with Earth's small but powerful fleet picking them off one by one. The underdog story of humanity was becoming a reality. The humans had something the aliens hadn't counted on: resilience. For years, Earth had lived in the shadow of larger, more powerful empires, but humanity had always survived. It was their will to fight, their determination to protect their home, that had made them stronger than anyone had realized. Every time the aliens thought they had the upper hand, the humans had found a way to turn the tide. The battle seemed to drag on for hours, but the humans were relentless. Their small fleet was full of fighters, men and women who had trained for this moment, knowing that they might never see their families again. But they fought for one reason: to ensure that Earth would remain free. They fought not just for themselves, but for their planet, their loved ones, and their future. And as the dust of battle settled, the once proud alien fleet was reduced to a smoldering heap of wreckage. The human fleet, battered but unbroken, emerged victorious. The aliens had underestimated the humans, believing them to be weak and insignificant. But now, the Galactic Alliance had learned the hard way that Earth was not a planet to be trifled with. The humans had proven something that day. They were not just survivors, they were warriors, and anyone who underestimated them would make the same mistake the aliens had made. Earth had fought back, and the battle for survival was far from over. The aliens had thought they could crush humanity with ease, but now they knew the truth. Underestimate Earth, and you would pay the price. The battle in space raged on with intensity, each side vying for control in the vast emptiness. The once serene skies of Earth were now filled with the chaotic whirl of explosions, flashing energy beams, and the screams of damaged spacecraft. Earth's small but powerful fleet of agile fighter ships sliced through the alien ranks with terrifying speed and precision, moving in and out of the alien ships like shadows, attacking with pinpoint accuracy before disappearing again into the depths of space. The humans had mastered guerrilla warfare in the skies. Their fighters, smaller and far more nimble than the heavy alien warships, were designed for one thing: speed. They darted in and out of the alien fleet, launching quick surprise attacks before retreating into the shadows of space. The alien ships were much larger, slower, and heavier armed, but they lacked the agility of the humans. The aliens tried to form defensive lines, but the human ships were simply too fast, cutting through their forces like a knife through butter. Commander Bonner watched the battle unfold from the cockpit of his fighter. His heart pounded as he engaged in dogfights with alien ships, weaving through blasts and returning fire with deadly accuracy. But his mind was elsewhere, his thoughts racing back to something that had happened just moments ago. In the midst of the chaos, his best friend, Lieutenant Harris, had been caught in a brutal firefight. Bonner had watched helplessly as Harris' fighter was hit, spinning out of control and crashing into the black void of space. The loss hit Bonner hard. Harris wasn't just a fellow soldier, he was family. They had trained together, fought together, and laughed together. To see him gone, just like that, was a brutal blow. It was hard for Bonner to focus. The memory of his friend's face haunted him as he fought on. But he knew one thing: Harris wouldn't have wanted him to give up. The battle wasn't over, and as long as the aliens were still alive, they still had a chance to win. The grief surged through him, but it was quickly replaced by a fiery determination. He had to win this fight, not just for him, but for all the men and women who had fallen. For Harris. For Earth. With a growl of determination, Bonner's fighter banked hard, dodging an incoming alien missile. He fired back with his own, hitting an alien ship directly in the engine core. It exploded in a bright flash, and he moved on to his next target, the weight of his grief fueling his every move. On the ground, the battle raged just as fiercely. The aliens, while technologically advanced, were struggling to keep up with the guerrilla tactics the humans were using. Small, nimble human squads would strike suddenly, attacking alien supply lines, sabotaging their communications, and hitting their weak points before vanishing back into the shadows. The aliens were caught off guard, unable to predict the humans' movements. Their robots, which had once been their ultimate advantage, were now just another tool to be outsmarted. But the aliens were not going to go down without a fight. They had one strength the humans couldn't match: numbers. While the humans fought with precision and strategy, the aliens sent wave after wave of soldiers and robots into the fray. Their forces were vast, overwhelming, and relentless. For every alien that fell, two more took their place, and the humans were starting to feel the pressure. Human casualties mounted as the battle intensified. Soldiers fell in the heat of combat, their names lost in the chaos of war. But the humans never gave up. They pressed on, no matter how overwhelming the odds became. Each loss, each fallen comrade, fueled their determination even further. Bonner could see it in their eyes. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for each other. The grief of losing their friends, their families, only made them stronger. The aliens, on the other hand, had their own struggles. The sheer size of their army and technology had made them overconfident, and it was beginning to show. They had expected this to be a quick and easy victory, but the humans had thrown them off balance with their unpredictability. The aliens were used to crushing their enemies through sheer force, but the humans had shown them that strength alone wasn't enough. Strategy, courage, and the will to fight for survival had become the humans' greatest weapon. The battle moved from the vast emptiness of space to the war-torn cities of Earth, where the human resistance had taken root. The aliens unleashed their robotic soldiers on the ground, hoping to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. The human soldiers, however, were ready. They fought with the grit and determination of a people who had faced extinction and refused to go down without a fight. They used the ruins of their cities as cover, launching surprise attacks on the alien forces from every direction. In the midst of it all, Bonner led his troops with a sense of urgency and resolve. His mind was clear, focused on the task at hand. But every now and then, a flash of Hera's face would appear in his mind, and his grief would surge again. He couldn't forget his friend, not now, not ever. Harris was the reason Bonner fought so hard. He fought for everyone he had lost, for everyone who was still fighting to survive. The battle escalated further, with the human forces pushing back the aliens in several key areas. But the aliens were relentless. Their numbers were overwhelming, and even with their superior tactics and technology, the humans were beginning to feel the strain. They had lost too many soldiers, too many friends. Yet every time they thought about retreating, the memory of those they had lost drove them forward. The intensity of the fighting continued to escalate. Explosions rocked the city streets, debris flying through the air as alien robots and human soldiers clashed in close-quarters combat. It was chaos, pure and unrelenting. The humans fought with all their might, using every resource at their disposal, every weapon they could find. And yet it was still not enough. The aliens, despite all their arrogance and overconfidence, were fighting back with everything they had. But one thing became clear as the battle wore on. The humans would not back down. No matter the cost, no matter how many they lost, they would keep fighting. They would never surrender. Bonner's grief and anger, though overwhelming, gave him a sense of purpose. He could feel the spirits of all the soldiers who had fallen alongside him, pushing him forward. With each new wave of alien troops, the humans fought harder. For every soldier they lost, they gained a greater resolve. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting to protect the future of humanity. The battle had become more than just a conflict. It was a fight for their very existence. As the battle stretched into what felt like an eternity, Bonner knew that there was no turning back. The loss of his best friend had been a devastating blow, but it had also ignited something deep within him, a fire that would never go out. He would fight until the last breath, and he would make sure that humanity would never be forgotten. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The battle was far from over, but Bonner and his comrades were ready for whatever came next. The fight for Earth had only just begun. The battle had been raging for what felt like days, and Earth's forces were beginning to feel the weight of their losses. Commander Bonner looked at the faces of his soldiers, worn and battle-hardened. The human fleet, once full of energy and hope, was now struggling to keep up against the alien onslaught. The aliens had more ships, more soldiers, and their robots were relentless. It seemed like an impossible fight, and for the first time, Bonner could see the spark of doubt creeping into the eyes of his crew. The ground beneath them had become a graveyard of fallen heroes. Bonner had lost countless comrades, his heart heavy with grief. Lieutenant Harris's death still weighed on him, and every time he looked at his squad, the faces of the fallen haunted him. But in the midst of this despair, something caught his eye, something that ignited a small spark of hope. The human forces had been fighting valiantly, but they lacked the firepower to take down the heart of the alien fleet. The aliens' massive warships, bristling with advanced technology, seemed unbeatable. However, there was one thing that the humans hadn't fully explored: the alien AI core. This core, hidden deep within the alien flagship, controlled most of their fleet's functions. Without it, the alien ships and soldiers would be left vulnerable. The humans had only recently discovered this weakness, and it gave them a new sense of purpose. Bonner gathered his most trusted soldiers, a small but elite team, and began to form a plan. They would infiltrate the alien flagship, the most heavily defended ship in the fleet, and destroy the AI core. If they succeeded, they could cripple the alien forces and shift the balance of power. But it was a risky move. The flagship was surrounded by layers of defenses, automated turrets, robotic soldiers, and heavily armored walls. If they failed, the entire fleet could collapse on them, and Earth would lose its last hope of survival. With the plan set, Bonner and his team boarded a stealth shuttle, cloaked to avoid detection. The shuttle slipped past the alien ships, narrowly avoiding detection as they neared the massive flagship. The cold expanse of space seemed to swallow them whole, but inside, Bonner's heart raced. Every instinct told him that this was their last shot, the only chance humanity had to turn the tide. He had seen too many soldiers fall to turn back now. As they docked with the flagship, they quickly moved into position, stepping into the cold, sterile halls of the alien vessel. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet corridor as they advanced, weapons at the ready. The team was small, but each soldier had been handpicked for their skills and courage. They were humanity's best, the last hope for a victory that seemed out of reach. They fought their way through the ship's defenses, taking down robotic sentries and automated turrets with expert precision. The aliens had anticipated human attacks before, but they had no idea how resourceful and determined the humans were. Each corridor was a battleground, with lasers flying and explosions echoing in the distance. Bonner led the charge, his heart pounding in his chest as he pushed forward, determined to reach the AI core and destroy it. But as they moved deeper into the heart of the ship, Bonner couldn't help but reflect on the faces of his fallen soldiers. Every step he took was a step further into enemy territory, but it was also a step closer to his comrades' sacrifices. Lieutenant Harris's death had been a devastating blow, but it had fueled Bonner's resolve. Harris had always believed that humanity's strength lay in their will to survive, in their refusal to give up, no matter the odds. Bonner could hear his friend's voice in his mind, urging him forward. The further they went, the more Bonner realized the true cost of this mission. His soldiers were giving everything they had, risking their lives for a chance at victory. For some, it would be the last fight they ever fought. He knew that, but he also knew they had no choice. If they didn't succeed, the entire human race was at risk. Their families, their homes, everything they knew and loved, would be wiped out. As they reached the final corridor leading to the AI core, Bonner's hand tightened around his weapon. He could feel the pressure building inside him, but he also felt a sense of urgency. The AI core was close, and with it, the chance to end the alien threat. But there was one thing they hadn't anticipated, something that made Bonner's blood run cold. The door to the AI chamber slid open with a hiss, revealing the core at the center of the room. The core was a massive, glowing structure, pulsing with energy. It was a machine of unimaginable power, capable of controlling the entire alien fleet. But as Bonner's eyes scanned the room, he realized something was wrong. The walls were lined with alien soldiers, robots, armed and ready for battle. They had known they were coming. It was a trap. The realization hit Bonner like a punch to the gut. They had walked straight into the enemy's hands, and now there was no way out. The doors slammed shut behind them, and the sound of the alien robots powering up filled the room. Bonner's team was surrounded, outnumbered, and cornered. He had thought they were close to victory, that the AI core was within their grasp, but the aliens had anticipated their every move. The trap had been set, and now they would pay the price for underestimating their enemy. Bonner's mind raced. This was it, the moment where everything could be lost. His soldiers were brave, but they were still human, and the alien forces were overwhelming. The AI core was within reach, but there was no guarantee they would make it out alive. Bonner's heart pounded, but he pushed forward, determined not to let his comrades down. He had come too far, fought too hard, to give up now. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed from behind the walls, signaling the arrival of even more reinforcements. Bonner could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He had come here with one goal: to destroy the AI core and take down the alien fleet. But now, as the enemy closed in, he realized just how dire the situation had become. The trap was closing around them. Bonner's breath caught in his throat, and his eyes scanned the room for a way out. He had never been one to give up. But this was different. His soldiers were counting on him. Humanity was counting on him. The fate of the entire human race rested on their success or failure. But the trap was inescapable, and the aliens were closing in fast. Inside the heart of the alien flagship, chaos was unfolding. The once calm and calculated ship was now in total turmoil. Explosions rattled the walls, sending shockwaves through the corridors. Lasers flashed across the room in every direction, illuminating the darkness with blinding intensity. The hum of energy pulses filled the air as Bonner and his team fought desperately to reach their goal, the AI core. The room was filled with the sounds of battle. The cold, metallic walls of the alien vessel were streaked with scorch marks and debris from the fierce firefight. Bonner's team had been fighting for what felt like hours, their bodies exhausted, their weapons nearly spent. But they couldn't stop now. They couldn't afford to. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. Bonner moved forward, leading his soldiers with relentless determination. His mind was focused solely on the mission, blocking out the pain and exhaustion that had begun to settle in his muscles. He could hear the screams of his team, the clash of metal against metal, and the hiss of alien weapons charging up. But none of that mattered. Every step brought them closer to the AI core, closer to victory or death. The alien forces inside the flagship were unlike anything Bonner and his team had faced before. They were machines, perfectly programmed and designed for destruction. They had no mercy, no hesitation. They were relentless, attacking in waves that seemed to never end. Bonner's squad fought back with everything they had, using their training, their weapons, and their cunning to push forward. But the alien robots were everywhere, filling every corner of the ship, trying to stop them from reaching their target. In the midst of the battle, Bonner saw one of his soldiers fall. Lieutenant Vasquez had been right beside him, covering their flank, when a group of alien robots ambushed them. Bonner watched in horror as Vasquez was taken down, his body crumpling to the floor in a heap of blood and metal. The sight of his comrade's sacrifice hit Bonner hard, but it only fueled his resolve. He couldn't afford to stop. Not now. Not when so much was at stake. With every step they took, the group grew smaller. More and more of Bonner's team fell, victims of the alien onslaught. But still, they pressed on. The AI core was close now. Just ahead, they could see the glowing, pulsating structure at the center of the room. It was the heart of the alien fleet, the source of their power and control. If they could destroy it, they could disable the entire alien armada. Bonner's pulse quickened as he pushed through the chaos. His hands were trembling, but he gripped his weapon tighter. He could see the fear in his soldiers' eyes, but he could also see something else. Determination. They weren't going to let the aliens win. They couldn't. Not after everything they'd lost. Finally, they reached the AI core. It stood in the center of the room, surrounded by an impenetrable barrier of alien technology. It hummed with power, casting an eerie glow across the room. The core was a massive machine, with cables and wires snaking out of it like tendrils, connecting it to the rest of the alien fleet. It was the nerve center of the entire operation, controlling every ship, every robot, and every soldier. Destroy it, and the alien forces would crumble. Bonner's team began to set up their explosives, carefully positioning them around the core. But just as they were about to finish, the ground shook beneath them, and the doors to the chamber slammed shut. Alien robots flooded the room, their eyes glowing with malicious intent. The humans were trapped. Bonner knew they had no time to waste. The core had to be destroyed, and it had to be done now. He gave the order to fire. His soldiers opened fire, unleashing a barrage of lasers and explosives at the approaching robots. The room erupted in chaos. Bonner and his team fought with everything they had left. They were outnumbered, but they didn't care. They were going to fight until the very end. But then, as Bonner reached the core, disaster struck. A blast of alien energy slammed into his side, knocking him to the ground. Pain shot through his body, and he gasped for breath, struggling to stay conscious. His vision blurred as he tried to rise, but it was no use. The wound was too severe. Blood pooled around him, and his body refused to cooperate. He could hear the voices of his soldiers, but they seemed so far away. "Commander," shouted one of his soldiers, kneeling beside him. "We need to go. You're hurt." But Bonner didn't listen. He knew what needed to be done. He had come this far, and he wasn't going to let it all be for nothing. With his last bit of strength, he crawled toward the explosives they had planted near the core. His vision was fading, but he could still see the machine, glowing, pulsing, waiting to be destroyed. Bonner's hand reached for the detonator. His fingers fumbled as he tried to press the button, but his strength was failing. He was so close to ending the war, so close to saving Earth. His hand trembled as he finally pressed down, triggering the explosion. The AI core erupted in a blinding flash of light. A shockwave rippled through the flagship, and the entire ship seemed to shake with the force of the blast. The alien fleet outside began to shudder, their systems shutting down one by one. The aliens had lost control. Their ships, their robots, their entire force were now useless. As Bonner's world faded to black, he heard the voice of his fallen comrades in his mind. He could hear Lieutenant Vasquez, Sergeant Taylor, and all the others who had given their lives. He had done it. He had given everything for humanity's survival. "We fight for each other," Bonner whispered, his final words carrying the weight of all the sacrifices that had been made. It wasn't just about victory. It was about standing together, against all odds. It was about humanity's refusal to give up, no matter the cost. With that, Bonner took his last breath, knowing that the fight was over and humanity had won. The alien fleet began to fall apart, their ships drifting aimlessly in space. The remaining alien forces scattered, their systems useless without the core to control them. Humanity had triumphed. Bonner's sacrifice had been the turning point, the moment that secured Earth's future. And though he was gone, his legacy lived on. "We fight for each other" became the battle cry of humanity. The victory, hard-won and costly, was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. And the galaxy would never forget that the humans, against all odds, had emerged victorious. The battle was over. The silence of space was deafening. What had once been a vast and powerful alien armada was now a shattered, broken fleet. The ships that had once filled the sky with menace now drifted aimlessly, their systems completely disabled. The alien forces, crippled and confused, had no control over their vessels. The AI that had once guided them, leading them toward Earth, was now nothing more than a pile of useless debris. The war had been won, but it came at a cost. Humanity had survived, but the price had been high. The loss of Commander Bonner, the valiant leader who had given his life to ensure the success of the mission, weighed heavily on the hearts of those who remained. The humans who fought beside him, the soldiers who had given everything, were remembered as heroes. Their sacrifices were not in vain, but the cost of victory had left an indelible mark on Earth. The retreat of the alien forces was chaotic. What had once been a force of invincible invaders was now reduced to a disorganized mess. The ships that had once threatened to overwhelm Earth now drifted through space, powerless and leaderless. The once feared alien armada, with its vast numbers and advanced technology, had been rendered helpless by the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. It was a victory, but one that left behind a painful reminder of the cost of war. Back on Earth, the celebrations were muted. There was no grand victory parade, no loud cheers in the streets. Instead, there was a somber acknowledgement of the price paid for survival. Families grieved for their fallen loved ones, for the soldiers who had given their lives to protect the planet. Bonner's name was spoken with reverence, as were the names of the countless others who had fought and died. Their loss was felt deeply, but their legacy was one of courage, of determination, of a will to never give up, no matter the odds. Yet even in the morning, there was hope. The people of Earth had faced a threat unlike anything they had ever imagined, and they had emerged victorious. The aliens who had come to Earth with plans of conquest and domination had been defeated by the very species they had underestimated. Humanity had stood tall in the face of overwhelming odds, proving that no matter how powerful the enemy, they could never break the spirit of the human race. The battle against the alien forces had been a test of humanity's strength, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It had shown the world that even when everything seemed lost, even when the odds seemed insurmountable, there was always hope. The human spirit was unbreakable. And that spirit had triumphed. The emotional toll of the battle was heavy, but the victory was sweet. The people of Earth had not only survived, but they had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. The message was clear. Humanity would never surrender. They would fight for each other, for their families, for their home. And they would do so with unwavering determination. As the alien fleet retreated into the darkness of space, the people of Earth looked toward the future. The threat of alien domination had been eradicated. The world had been forever changed, but in the aftermath, there was a sense of renewal. The destruction caused by the war had left scars, but those scars would heal. Earth would rebuild, stronger and more united than ever before. The galaxy would never forget the lesson humanity had taught. Never underestimate the power of the human spirit. The final scene was one of quiet reflection. The remnants of the alien fleet floated lifelessly in space, the once mighty ships now reduced to broken husks. The sight was a testament to the strength and resilience of humanity. Earth had faced its darkest hour and emerged victorious. It was a victory not just for the soldiers who had fought and died, but for every person on the planet. Humanity had proven that they could withstand any challenge, any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. As Earth looked toward the future, there was a sense of hope that hadn't been there before. The alien threat was gone. The world was safe. But the true victory was in the lessons learned, the unity forged in the fires of war, and the unwavering belief in humanity's ability to rise above any challenge. The people of Earth had fought not just for survival, but for the things they loved: their families, their homes, and their future. They had fought for each other. In the years that followed, humanity would rebuild. The scars of war would fade, but the lessons of that battle would never be forgotten. Earth would become a symbol of hope, a beacon to the galaxy that no matter how dark the night, there would always be light on the horizon. And as the shattered remains of the alien fleet drifted through space, the final message of humanity echoed across the stars. Never underestimate humanity. We fight not just for survival, but for what we love. The galaxy had learned the hard way. The humans were not to be trifled with. And from that day forward, they would be remembered as the ones who stood against impossible odds and emerged victorious. The alien invaders had tried to conquer Earth, but they had underestimated the power of humanity, and that would be their ultimate downfall. Humanity had won the battle, and in doing so, had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with. The war was over, but the future had just begun. The road ahead would be challenging, but with the lessons of the past guiding them, humanity was ready to face whatever came next.